$2 billion. Say it again. Billion. Not a leak, not a rumor, not something whispered in the shadows. A real offer, a real check, a real conversation, with Alex Eala's name right at the center of it. And just like that, women's tennis stopped pretending everything was fine. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. This was never really about money. Money is just the part that grabs attention. What this is really about is control. Who has it? Who's been denied it? And what happens when a 23-year-old from Manila looks at the entire system and quietly decides she's had enough? The Women's Tennis Association spent decades building a global structure, and now a billionaire just handed one player the blueprint to build something entirely different. And the most unsettling part? Alex might actually do it. There's a certain type of athlete the sports world never quite knows how to handle. Not the safe ones, not the polished champions who smile, give perfect interviews, and stay inside the lines. The dangerous ones. The ones who walk into a room and somehow make everyone else feel like something just shifted. Alex is that kind of athlete. Born in Manila, built through discipline, pressure, and expectation. Refined at the Rafa Nadal Academy, a place that doesn't deal in hype, only results. She didn't arrive quietly, she arrived as a statement. Junior Grand Slam titles, coaches whispering her name before she even stepped into a major main draw. A game so clean, so precise, scouts were already calling it generational before she could even rent a car in most countries. But what highlight reels don't show you is the weight. Because every time Alex stepped onto the court, she wasn't just playing for ranking points, she was carrying something bigger. The Philippines had never produced a Grand Slam champion. Southeast Asia had been largely invisible at the top of women's tennis. And the unspoken narrative? Players from her part of the world weren't supposed to belong there. So she dismantled that story, piece by piece. By 22, she cracked a top 50. By 23, she was knocking on the door of the top 20. An aggressive baseline game, a backhand that blended finesse with power, drawing comparisons to Agnieszka Radwanska's touch and Victoria Azarenka's force. And yet, despite all of it, the system responded the way powerful systems always do, with polite applause, careful praise, and subtle reminders. You're impressive, but you're not central. Not yet. She noticed. Every elite athlete does. They just don't always say it out loud. Alex did. In an interview, she said, "I didn't come this far to be a footnote. I came to write my own chapter." At the time, it sounded like confidence. Now, it sounds like a warning. Because somewhere across the world, someone heard that. A billionaire. Not a fan, not a sponsor. An investor. Someone who looked at women's tennis not as a sport, but as a market. And what he saw was simple. Massive mobile interest, undervalued structure, untapped potential. So he didn't call the Women's Tennis Association. He didn't go through networks. He didn't recruit retired legends. He called Alex. Their first meeting? Dubai. Private. No cameras. And the question he asked her was simple. What would women's tennis look like if the players actually ran it? She didn't answer right away, because that wasn't a new question for her. It was one she'd already asked herself. After tough losses, after frustrating schedules, after looking at her paycheck, and then at the revenue her matches generated. Finally, she answered, "Nothing like it looks now." That conversation became a proposal. The proposal became a document. And at the top of that document was a number that shook the entire sports world. $2 billion. The vision? A completely independent women's tennis league, outside WTA control, own schedule, own media rights, own price structure, and most importantly, ownership for the players. Not bonuses, not appearance fees, equity. Under this model, Alex wouldn't just be the face of the league, she'd be a founder, an owner in a $2 billion organization before a single match was even played. And here's the part that changes everything. The numbers actually made sense. Streaming platforms are desperate for live sports. Brands in beauty, fashion, wellness, and tech are massively underrepresented in tennis. A league built for the digital generation, player-driven, story-focused, global from day one, could unlock an audience the current system has struggled to reach. And according to internal research, Alex wasn't just a rising player. She was the most commercially valuable women's tennis star under 25. The offer was real. The money existed. The plan was ready. The only problem? The system didn't know yet. When word finally got out, the reaction wasn't calm. It was chaos. Because behind the polished image of women's tennis, there were cracks. Prize money gaps below the Grand Slam level. Players outside the top tier struggling financially. Schedules built without real player input. Mental health support that looked better on paper than in reality. And for Alex, a calendar that rarely prioritized the region where she mattered most, Asia. So when she saw a system offering fair pay, real scheduling power, transparent finances, a global digital-first vision, this didn't feel like a risk. It felt like a solution. The response from the Women's Tennis Association? Fast, defensive, careful. Words like reckless and destabilizing started appearing. But the real story wasn't what they said. It was what they avoided. No mention of price structures, no acknowledgement of player concerns, and notably, no mention of Alex. Within hours, the sport split. Fans, overwhelmingly supportive, especially younger audiences. Filipino fans, fierce, emotional, personal. Because this wasn't just about tennis. It was about finally having someone from their region not just compete, but lead. Veteran players, more cautious, concerned about division, about fragmentation. Younger players, watching, quietly, closely. And then came the final reveal. The league had a name, Apex Tennis League. Not a tour, a league. 12 global franchises, cities like Manila, London, New York, Dubai, Tokyo. Guaranteed salaries for players.